Imagine, you're standing on one pedestal in the circle of many, listening as the clock runs down. The adrenaline's pounding in your ears so loud that you almost don't hear the buzzer. Suddenly people around you are running in every direction. You see one child fall and the light fade from their eyes, and then the next, before you remember where you are. Now imagine merely stepping out of the situation, unscathed, but entering another. Now you're in the midst of a bustling school, filled with students in long black robes, carrying wands with their books. You hear boisterous laughter nearby as you see a red-haired student's wand backfire on them. But once again, you can merely just step out of the situation. These are two lives that I have lived like they were my own, all while never leaving the chair in the corner of the library. I spent a lot of time in the library as a child, and I do even now as an adult. Libraries are an institution that deserve more recognition due to the safe haven they provide for the books in its care, which foster leadership, cultural awareness, and research. To begin, books foster leadership qualities among individuals. If you go into the fictional section of the library, you will find many driven, strong, and fierce protagonists. For example, you have Harry Potter, who even though his world is being turned upside down constantly, he steps up in times of need to lead his peers. Katniss Everdeen acts as a symbol of resistance to a nation that's facing endless horrors. And Frodo Baggins steps up for an adventure that he knows he's not prepared for in order to keep corrupt hands off of a ring. Now, if you go to the nonfiction section of the library, you will also find these strong men and women, but they'll be from history instead of from the fictional worlds that we delve into every once in a while. You have Martin Luther King Jr., who during the Civil Rights Movement fought for what was right for a huge community of people. You have Mahatma Gandhi, who led a resistance against the British colonialism in India and stepped up to lead people in a more nonviolent way, such as marches. What do all of these people, real or fictional, have in common? They are all leaders. They knew that others needed their guidance, so they stepped up to do all in their power that they could. When people read about these accomplishments, it fosters leadership qualities in themselves, and they are more driven to lead others in times of need. They provide great examples of what needs to be done in order to be considered a leader. Second, books show you the different cultures of the world. When you step into the library, you can pick 3 books at random, and chances are they will take you to 3 different communities, countries, or societies. Books like The Bluest Eye, Jasmine, The Kite Runner. In The Bluest Eye, we meet a young African-American girl in the US. Even though this book doesn't take us outside the US, it still shows us a different community of people that we live close to. We may think that we know a lot about how they live and how they act based on what we see, but in reality we don't know the kind of racism that they face daily and what causes turmoil for them. In this book we see the young protagonist, Pecola, wish for blue eyes so that she would be considered pretty. In The Kite Runner, we're transported to the country of Afghanistan, where we learn about the different cultural traditions and the different aspects of the Taliban on their country. We are there in the book when the protagonist wins a kite flying tournament, and we can see how big of an accomplishment that is for him. The book shows us the social hierarchy between master and servant, even in the younger generation. And we can also see what kind of impact the Taliban has on the country of Afghanistan. Through reading these books, we are able to identify cultural norms and lifestyles of different cultures. And when we are able to identify that, we have a deeper understanding of the disadvantages and advantages of living in those different cultures. Once we understand those differences, we're more likely to accept the uniqueness of others. Third, books help us in our research endeavors. The nonfiction section not only is good for researching strong leaders, as I stated before, but it is also a sea of multiple other topics. We can research things like social issues such as war, genocide, famine, and treaty. We can research geography topics such as continents, countries, and cultures. We can research medical topics such as the human body, medicines, diseases, and many, many more. Another amenity that libraries have is an online bank of peer-reviewed articles. When an article is peer-reviewed, it has been analyzed by many experts in that field, and they have determined that the information is correct and can be used for other research. So it's a good source for students because then they don't have to decide whether what they're reading is reliable or not. So when we have all of these things in one place, it enhances our abilities to research because we can pull multiple different sources at once, and then we are able to identify what we're reading, what's important, and we can transfer the author's ideas into our own. In conclusion, libraries are the tree trunk that support the precious branches of leadership, cultural awareness, and research. Through books in the libraries, we learn about strong leaders, and we learn about all the different unique cultures of the world, and we're able to research anything that we want. Libraries deserve more recognition due to everything it does for each and every individual that comes through its doors. It's shaping how children grow up by changing how they think, how they act, and how they perceive the world. I spent a lot of time in the library as a child, and I will continue to do that as I grow older. I will never forget all that the library has taught me, and I will never stop exploring all that it has to offer.